The evening sky over the bustling city was painted in shades of orange and purple as Earth's largest spaceport hummed with activity. Spaceships of various designs and origins descended onto landing pads, while diplomats, traders, and explorers from across the galaxy mingled in the vast terminal. Among them was Lucas, a human diplomat known for his sharp negotiation skills and warm personality. He had just returned from a long and tedious trade mission to a distant system. As Lucas made his way through the terminal, his eyes caught something unusual. An alien woman, taller than most, standing alone near a landing bay. Her features were strikingly exotic, with shimmering silver hair that cascaded down her back, skin that gleamed like polished stone, and eyes that seemed to glow faintly in the dim light. Her robes were intricately woven with patterns that hinted at her advanced culture. There was an aura about her that demanded attention. Curiosity piqued, Lucas approached cautiously. "Excuse me," he said, his voice carrying warmth and sincerity. "Are you lost? Can I help you with anything?" The alien woman turned to him, her glowing eyes locking onto his. There was an intensity in her gaze that Lucas couldn't quite place, something deeper than mere curiosity. "I am not lost," she replied, her voice smooth and melodic, yet with an underlying edge. "I am waiting." Lucas raised an eyebrow, intrigued, waiting for someone in particular. She tilted her head slightly, studying him. "I am waiting for you." Lucas was taken aback. The alien woman's directness was unlike anything he had experienced before. "For me?" he asked, trying to keep his tone light. "Yes," she said, her eyes never leaving his. "I am Serafina, a diplomat from the Andromeda Coalition. I have been informed of your exceptional skills and was sent to discuss a matter of great importance with you." Lucas, intrigued and somewhat flattered, nodded. "All right, Serafina, let's find somewhere quieter to talk." They walked to a nearby lounge area, where the ambient noise of the terminal was reduced to a gentle hum. Lucas gestured for Serafina to sit, and he took the seat opposite her. The room was furnished with sleek, modern designs, a stark contrast to the ornate beauty of her attire. Serafina settled into her seat with a grace that spoke of both confidence and authority. "Thank you for meeting with me, Lucas. The Andromeda Coalition has been monitoring the recent shifts in trade and political alliances. Your reputation precedes you, and I believe your insight could be crucial." Lucas leaned forward, intrigued. "And what exactly would you like to discuss?" Serafina's gaze was unwavering. "It's not just about trade or politics. There are matters of cultural significance that need to be addressed. The Coalition has detected unusual signals coming from the fringes of your space, signals that suggest a civilization of considerable advanced technology." Lucas raised an eyebrow. "And what does this have to do with me?" "The Coalition believes that these signals could pose a threat or, alternatively, offer a significant opportunity. I need your expertise to analyze the data and help us make sense of it." Lucas nodded, sensing the gravity of the situation. "All right, I'll help. But why me? There must be other diplomats who can handle this." Serafina's expression softened slightly, revealing a hint of something personal. "It's not just your skills that are required. There's a particular quality about you that the Coalition values. You have a unique ability to see beyond the surface, to understand not just the facts but the deeper implications." Lucas felt a strange flutter in his chest at her words. There was something in Serafina's eyes that made him feel both valued and vulnerable. "Well, I guess we have a lot to discuss then. Let's start with the data you have." Serafina handed him a sleek, advanced data pad, the screen displaying a series of complex charts and signals. Lucas took it, feeling the weight of the responsibility settle upon him. As he began to analyze the information, he could feel Serafina's gaze on him, a constant reminder of the enigmatic connection they were forming. Lucas spent the next hour absorbed in the data provided by Serafina. The information was complex, with intricate patterns and signals that seemed to pulse with an energy all their own. He noted fluctuations and anomalies that indicated a high level of technology, but the specifics eluded him. Serafina remained silent as Lucas worked, her gaze occasionally drifting to the terminal's panoramic window that offered a breathtaking view of the sprawling city below. Despite her composed exterior, there was a tension in her posture, a barely contained anticipation that Lucas could sense. After a while, Lucas set the data pad down with a sigh. "This is more advanced than anything I've seen before. These signals are unlike any known communication methods. It's almost as if they're sending out a form of coded message, but its purpose is unclear." Serafina's eyes lit up with interest. "You're right. The Coalition has been analyzing these signals for months without success. Your insights could be the key to unlocking their meaning." Lucas glanced at her, noting the earnestness in her expression. "Why is this so important to your Coalition? What's at stake here?" Serafina hesitated for a moment before speaking. "The signals originate from a remote region of space that was thought to be uninhabited. If these signals are indeed from a civilization with advanced technology, it could shift the balance of power in the galaxy. We need to understand whether this civilization is a potential ally or a threat." Lucas nodded, processing the gravity of the situation. "All right. I'll dive deeper into the data and see what patterns emerge. But I need more context. Can you provide any background on these signals or their origin?" Serafina's eyes met his, and for a brief moment, there was a flicker of something. Was it vulnerability? "I'm afraid I don't have much more information. The signals are encoded in a way that resists conventional decryption methods. We were hoping that your fresh perspective might reveal something new." Lucas was about to respond when the door to the lounge slid open, and a young aide entered with a message. Serafina's expression hardened as she read the brief communication. "I'm sorry, Lucas. I have another urgent matter to attend to. But I trust you can handle this." Lucas nodded. "I'll do my best, and if you need anything else from me, just let me know." Serafina stood, her composure returning as she prepared to leave. "Thank you, Lucas. Your assistance is greatly appreciated." As she turned to go, Lucas couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to Serafina's urgency than she was letting on. He watched her leave, her graceful movements almost hypnotic. For the first time, he felt a deeper connection to the situation, one that went beyond mere diplomatic duty. The hours passed quickly as Lucas immersed himself in the data, his mind racing to decipher the mysterious signals. The complexity of the codes was overwhelming, yet he felt a sense of determination to crack the puzzle. As he worked late into the night, the terminal lights cast a soft glow on his face, illuminating the intensity of his focus. Despite the technical challenge, Lucas couldn't shake the image of Serafina from his mind. Her presence had left an indelible impression on him. He found himself thinking about her otherworldly beauty, her poised demeanor, and the way her eyes seemed to see through to his very core. It was an unusual distraction for a diplomat, but it was undeniable. The next morning, Lucas was still engrossed in his work when Serafina returned to the lounge. Her presence immediately drew his attention, and he looked up from the data pad to find her standing there, with an expression of both urgency and something softer, a hint of personal interest. "I hope I didn't interrupt your work," Serafina said, her voice tinged with a note of concern. "Not at all," Lucas replied, closing the data pad. "I've made some progress, but it's still unclear. What's the urgent matter?" Serafina moved to sit across from him, her gaze intense. "I needed to discuss something with you in person. It's related to the signals, but it also concerns our current situation." Lucas nodded, sensing the gravity in her tone. "Go ahead." Serafina took a deep breath, her composure slipping just a little. "Last night, I received some disturbing news. The Coalition believes that we might be running out of time. If the signals are from a civilization that poses a threat, they could be preparing to make contact, or worse." Lucas felt a chill at her words. "Do you have any specifics? Any indication of what kind of threat we're dealing with?" Serafina hesitated, her eyes reflecting a mix of fear and resolve. "We don't have concrete information yet, but the urgency is real. There are factions within the coalition that believe we should take immediate action, but I believe we should approach this with caution. Your insight could help us determine the best course of action." As she spoke, Lucas noticed a subtle shift in her demeanor. There was something more than professional concern in her eyes, a deeper, more personal vulnerability. It was as if the pressure of the situation was weighing heavily on her, and she was reaching out for support. "Serafina," Lucas said softly, "if there's more to this situation, I want to know. We're in this together, and if you need help, I'm here." For a moment, Serafina's gaze softened, and she looked at him with a mixture of gratitude and something else, something that felt almost like longing. "Thank you, Lucas. Your support means more than you know." The air between them was charged with an unspoken connection, a tension that went beyond their professional roles. Lucas felt a stir of emotions he hadn't anticipated, emotions that were both thrilling and confusing. As they continued to work together, he couldn't help but wonder where this unexpected bond would lead. The days that followed were a whirlwind of activity. Lucas and Serafina delved deeper into the mysterious signals, their collaboration becoming increasingly intense and focused. The urgency of the situation lent a heightened sense of importance to their work, and both were determined to uncover the truth behind the enigmatic messages. As they worked side by side, the professional distance between them began to blur. Late nights spent analyzing data and heated discussions about potential threats created a bond that went beyond mere cooperation. Lucas couldn't help but notice how Serafina's usually controlled demeanor seemed to waver in moments of shared frustration and fatigue. Her calm facade occasionally slipped, revealing glimpses of vulnerability that intrigued and concerned him. One evening, after a particularly grueling session, Lucas and Serafina found themselves alone in the lounge, surrounded by scattered datapads and empty coffee cups. The weight of their findings and the growing pressure to act had created a palpable tension between them. "Serafina," Lucas began, his voice weary but resolute, "we're making progress, but the signals are still cryptic. We need to consider all possibilities." Serafina nodded, her gaze fixed on the datapad in front of her. "I know. The coalition is pushing for immediate action, but I believe we need more information before we make any decisions." Lucas studied her, noticing the strain in her eyes. "You've been under a lot of pressure. Are you okay?" Serafina looked up, her expression softening as she met his gaze. "It's just, this situation is more than I anticipated. There's a lot at stake, and the weight of it is overwhelming." Lucas felt a pang of sympathy for her. He had seen glimpses of her strength and determination, but now he was witnessing a side of her that was both fragile and genuine. "If you need to talk or take a break, I'm here. We're in this together." Serafina's eyes searched his face, and for a moment, the room was filled with a charged silence. "Thank you, Lucas. Your support means more to me than you know." As the conversation continued, Lucas found himself increasingly drawn to Serafina. Her dedication, her struggle, and her vulnerability stirred something within him, a connection that went beyond professional respect. He could see that she was wrestling with her own emotions, and it resonated with his own growing feelings. Just then, the door to the lounge opened, and a young aide entered with another message. Serafina's expression hardened as she read the communication, her eyes narrowing in concern. "I'm sorry, Lucas," she said, her voice tinged with regret. "I have to attend to this matter immediately. It's urgent." Lucas stood, his heart sinking as he saw the familiar resolve in her eyes. "Of course. I'll continue working on the data. Let me know if you need anything." As Serafina hurried out of the room, Lucas was left alone with his thoughts. The connection he felt with her was undeniable, but he struggled with the implications. They were in the midst of a high-stakes situation, and allowing personal feelings to interfere could jeopardize their mission. He turned back to the datapad, trying to focus on the task at hand. But his mind kept drifting to Serafina. The way she had looked at him, the hint of vulnerability in her voice. It was a distraction he hadn't anticipated, and he wondered how it would affect their work. Later that night, Lucas was still deep in thought when Serafina returned, her expression more resolute than before. She approached him with a sense of purpose that reminded him of her strength. "Lucas," she said, her tone firm but weary, "we've received new intel that confirms the signals are coming from an advanced civilization. The Coalition wants to act now, but I still believe we need to proceed with caution." Lucas met her gaze, sensing the gravity of her decision. "I agree. Rushing into action without understanding the full scope could be disastrous. We need to be strategic." Serafina nodded, relief evident in her eyes. "Thank you for understanding. Your perspective has been invaluable." As they continued their work, the air between them was charged with a blend of professional intensity and personal connection. Lucas couldn't ignore the feelings that had developed, but he was determined to maintain his focus on the mission. The stakes were too high, and their work was far from over. In the days that followed, Lucas and Serafina worked tirelessly, their partnership growing stronger. The signals continued to present challenges, but their combined efforts began to reveal patterns that hinted at the civilization's intentions. Despite the looming threat, there was a sense of accomplishment in their progress. As they prepared for the next phase of their investigation, Lucas couldn't deny the growing bond he felt with Serafina. The lines between professional duty and personal affection were becoming increasingly blurred, and he wondered how this would affect their future interactions. But for now, their focus remained on the task at hand. The mystery of the signals continued to unfold, and the connection between Lucas and Serafina was a reminder that even in the midst of uncertainty, there was room for unexpected and profound connections. The tension in the room was palpable as Lucas and Serafina reviewed the latest data. The signals had become clearer, but the implications were even more complex. The advanced civilization they were dealing with was not just a potential threat. It was a potential ally with technology far beyond their own. Yet the data suggested a level of secrecy and isolation that made first contact challenging. Serafina sat at the edge of her seat, her fingers drumming lightly on the edge of the datapad. Her eyes were focused, and her expression was a mixture of concentration and anxiety. Lucas watched her, noting the lines of stress etched on her face. The stakes were higher than ever, and the pressure was taking its toll. "We need to consider all angles," Lucas said, breaking the silence. "This civilization could either help us or pose a serious risk. We have to approach this carefully." Serafina nodded, her gaze still fixed on the screen. "I agree. The data suggests they have advanced defense mechanisms and a highly developed communication network. We need to understand their intentions before making any moves." Lucas leaned back in his chair, rubbing his temples. The strain of the ongoing crisis was beginning to wear on him. He felt a deep-seated concern for Serafina, not just as a colleague, but as someone he had come to care for deeply. The line between professional duty and personal emotions had blurred to the point where it was becoming difficult to maintain a clear focus. "Serafina," Lucas began, hesitating slightly as he gathered his thoughts. "We've been working non-stop for days. Maybe it's time we take a step back, get some fresh perspectives. We might be missing something obvious." Serafina looked up, her expression softening slightly. "I know you're right. It's hard to step away when there's so much at stake. Every minute counts." Lucas sighed, feeling the weight of the situation more acutely than ever. "How about we take a short break, clear our heads, and then come back with fresh eyes? We could use a change of scenery." Serafina hesitated, then nodded. "Okay, a brief break might help." The two of them left the command center and took a walk outside. The crisp air and the setting sun provided a much-needed respite from the intense environment of the research facility. They wandered through a nearby park, their conversation initially centered around mundane topics as they both sought to decompress. As they walked, Lucas couldn't help but notice the subtle changes in Serafina's demeanor. She seemed more relaxed, her steps lighter. The casual setting allowed her to shed some of the tension that had become a constant part of their interactions. "I've been thinking," Lucas said as they strolled along a path lined with blooming flowers, "about how this mission has brought us together. It's strange how, in the middle of a crisis, you find connections with people you wouldn't have expected." Serafina glanced at him, her expression thoughtful. "Yes, it's been eye-opening. I never imagined I'd form such a bond with someone from another species, especially under these circumstances." Lucas met her gaze, feeling a mix of relief and apprehension. "I felt the same way. It's hard to ignore the connection that's developed between us." Serafina's eyes softened, and for a moment, the tension between them seemed to dissipate. "It's difficult to keep professional boundaries when emotions are involved. I'm finding it hard to reconcile my feelings with the demands of our mission." Lucas stopped walking, turning to face her. "Serafina, I want you to know that I respect and care about you. This situation is unprecedented, and it's natural for emotions to come into play. But we need to keep our focus on the mission." Serafina looked down, taking a deep breath. "I appreciate your honesty, Lucas. I've been struggling with my own emotions, trying to maintain control while dealing with the complexities of our work. It's been challenging." Lucas reached out, gently placing a hand on her shoulder. "We're in this together, Serafina. We'll get through this, and whatever happens, we'll face it as a team." They stood in silence for a moment, the weight of their shared experience creating a sense of solidarity between them. It was a connection forged in the crucible of their mission, and despite the uncertainties ahead, it was a source of strength for both. As they returned to the command center, refreshed, and with a renewed sense of purpose, they dove back into their analysis with renewed vigor. The break had provided them with a fresh perspective, and their progress on deciphering the signals accelerated. Late into the evening, Lucas and Serafina made a breakthrough. The data revealed a series of encoded messages that hinted at the civilization's true intentions. It became clear that they were not merely a distant threat, but had a significant interest in Earth and its inhabitants. Their technology was advanced, but their motives were shrouded in mystery. Serafina's face lit up with a mixture of excitement and apprehension as she reviewed the new information. "Lucas, this changes everything. The encoded messages indicate that they've been monitoring us for some time and are interested in establishing contact." Lucas nodded, feeling the surge of anticipation. "This could be an opportunity for a breakthrough, but we need to proceed with caution. We don't know their full intentions yet." The hours ticked by as they continued to analyze the data, their focus unwavering. The breakthrough had energized them, and their collaboration reached new heights. The connection they had forged became a driving force behind their determination to unravel the mystery of the advanced civilization. As dawn approached, they finally reached a point where they could prepare for the next phase of their mission. The revelations they had uncovered would require careful planning and diplomatic finesse. Serafina looked at Lucas, her expression a mix of resolve and gratitude. "We've made significant progress, but there's still much to do. I'm glad we had that break. It made a difference." Lucas smiled, feeling a sense of accomplishment. "Me too. Whatever happens next, we'll face it together. We've come a long way, and we're closer to understanding the truth." As they prepared to move forward, the bond between them was stronger than ever. The mission was far from over, but with their newfound understanding and connection, they were ready to confront whatever challenges lay ahead. Their journey had only just begun, and the path forward was filled with both promise and uncertainty. The next few days were a whirlwind of activity as Lucas and Serafina worked tirelessly to prepare for the anticipated contact with the advanced civilization. The breakthroughs in their analysis had provided a clearer picture of the enigmatic species, but it also revealed complexities that added layers of uncertainty to their mission. Lucas and Serafina convened in the command center, where the walls were lined with holographic displays and charts. The facility had become their second home, a place where they were both intimately familiar with every detail and yet constantly challenged by the evolving situation. Their recent discoveries had made the stakes higher than ever. "Everything is set for the preliminary contact," Lucas said, his voice steady but tinged with anticipation. "The communication protocols are in place, and we've prepared a response that reflects our willingness to engage, but also maintains a cautious stance." Serafina nodded, her expression serious. "The encoded messages we've decoded suggest that they're open to dialogue, but there's still an element of ambiguity about their true intentions. We need to be prepared for any scenario." Lucas glanced at the holographic display, which showed a series of complex symbols and patterns. "We've done everything we can to ensure that our message is clear and respectful. It's up to them now to respond." With a deep breath, Serafina activated the transmission sequence. The holographic display flickered, and a wave of energy surged through the communication array. The message was sent, a carefully crafted statement designed to open the door to diplomatic dialogue while expressing the importance of mutual understanding. The two of them watched the screens with bated breath, waiting for a response. The minutes felt like hours, the weight of their anticipation palpable in the room. Every sound, every flicker of light seemed magnified as they waited for the advanced civilization's reaction. Suddenly, the display came to life with a series of shimmering symbols. The message had been received, and the advanced civilization was now preparing to respond. The symbols danced and shifted, forming a coherent message that slowly materialized on the screen. "Greetings, Earth representatives," the message began. "We acknowledge your communication and express our interest in engaging in a dialogue. Our species values knowledge and seeks to understand the diverse civilizations within the galaxy." Serafina's eyes widened as she read the response. "They're willing to engage, but they're emphasizing their interest in knowledge and understanding. This aligns with what we've seen so far." Lucas nodded, feeling a mix of relief and apprehension. "This is a positive development, but we need to remain cautious. Their emphasis on knowledge suggests they might be probing for information before revealing their true intentions." The message continued, outlining the parameters for their initial meeting. The advanced civilization proposed a secure location for the dialogue, one that would ensure both parties could communicate without interference. The location was a neutral space station, orbiting a remote planet that was well outside the known territories of both Earth and the advanced civilization. "It's a neutral location, which is good," Lucas said. "It minimizes any potential risks associated with territorial disputes or unintended provocations." Serafina agreed, her expression thoughtful. "We should prepare ourselves thoroughly for this meeting. We need to ensure that our presentation reflects our commitment to peaceful engagement while also safeguarding our interests." As they finalized their preparations, the atmosphere in the command center was a blend of determination and anticipation. The upcoming meeting would be a crucial step in their mission, and both Lucas and Serafina were keenly aware of the weight of their responsibility. The day of the meeting arrived, and Lucas and Serafina boarded a spacecraft bound for the neutral space station. The journey was a tense one, filled with quiet reflections and strategic discussions. The spacecraft itself was sleek and advanced, a testament to the technological progress humanity had made. As they approached the space station, Lucas and Serafina marveled at the sight of the massive structure. It was an engineering marvel, its design both functional and elegant. The station's exterior was adorned with intricate patterns that seemed to glow softly, a stark contrast to the cold, utilitarian design of many space stations. The spacecraft docked, and they disembarked, stepping into the neutral space station's interior. The environment was meticulously designed, combining advanced technology with a sense of calm and neutrality. The meeting room, where they would engage with the advanced civilization, was spacious and elegantly appointed, with a large table at its center. As they took their seats at the table, the representatives from the advanced civilization arrived. They were an impressive sight, their forms shifting and shimmering in a way that suggested both fluidity and grace. Their appearance was unlike anything Lucas and Serafina had ever encountered, a blend of ethereal beauty and alien sophistication. "Welcome, Earth representatives, one of the beings said, their voice resonating with a melodious tone. "We are honored to engage in this dialogue with you." Lucas and Serafina greeted their counterparts, their expressions a mixture of professionalism and genuine curiosity. The meeting began with formal introductions, followed by an exchange of information about their respective civilizations. As the dialogue progressed, Lucas and Serafina found themselves drawn into a fascinating exchange of ideas and perspectives. The advanced civilization's representatives were articulate and open, eager to share their knowledge and learn about humanity's experiences and achievements. Throughout the meeting, Lucas and Serafina remained vigilant, balancing their desire for understanding with the need to protect Earth's interests. The conversation flowed smoothly, and it became clear that the advanced civilization was genuinely interested in forming a cooperative relationship. As the meeting drew to a close, both parties expressed a commitment to further dialogue and collaboration. The representatives from the advanced civilization extended an invitation for future exchanges, signaling their willingness to explore the potential for deeper cooperation. Lucas and Serafina left the meeting feeling a sense of accomplishment and optimism. The initial contact had been successful, and the possibilities for future collaboration were promising. They knew that challenges remained, but the foundation for a positive relationship had been established. As they returned to Earth, the weight of their mission still lingered, but it was tempered by a renewed sense of hope. The journey had been long and arduous, but the results of their efforts had paved the way for a new era of interstellar diplomacy. In the end, it was clear that their connection and determination had played a crucial role in shaping the outcome of their mission.